Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the YesSHECan project. I am beyond delighted today to be joined by lifestyle chef and plant-based foodpreneur, Charlene Ashong. Hello, Charlene.
Hello. Thank you
How
for
are
having me on
you?
the show. I'm great. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. So you're
Good.
joining us today all the way from the US of A.
I am. With no sun
Exciting.
here, by the way. I'm very disappointed in that.
Oh, is there
I
not?
think it's sunnier. It's more, yeah, I think it's sunnier in the UK right now than where I'm at.
Oh, that's a shame.
Such is life. Never mind.
Bless you. Well, Charlene, do you want to introduce yourself and tell the listeners a little bit about what you do, please?
Sure. So I am a mixed bag, listeners. I'm a mixed bag. I started my journey in Italy. I lived in Italy for 10 years. And there I revolutionized my food diet, just returning back to basics, back to the Mediterranean. And it kind of inspired me to change my lifestyle, my diet, and inspired me to even take this on as a career. So I now
Okay.
am a plant-based chef. I am a pescatarian, so I do eat fish, but I
Okay.
work with plants. So my job, my passion, my love is to bring plants into the utmost creativity where food is concerned and create products which are tasty, great texture, great flavor, great look, but are completely whole and natural because that's the best way to feed our bodies. So
Yeah.
I believe. This led to me opening up a shop in Kensington called Fitterly, where I worked with Italian plant-based products and created a great menu. And then it's just gone on from there. I've been popped into this morning, popped into Lorraine, done a few
As you
pop tastes,
do.
as you do. And yeah, just, spreading the plant-based love and bringing a kind of holistic look to things, really, because I think what you
Okay.
eat affects your mind, body, and soul. And so just bringing everything together.
Was there a particular reason? Was it something that happened to you personally that made you revolutionize the way that you eat?
That's a good question. I think I've always been mildly healthy. I don't
Okay.
think I was that kid at uni that was like, I'm going to make a soup from scratch while you guys have your
Oh,
pot noodle. And everyone will be like, oh my gosh, you're so sad. And I'm like, it's fine. Like, I'm healthy. So I was kind of always on that kind of health trend
yeah.
thing. But then um, I think culturally, I think obviously as I'm African Caribbean, so it's like we're used to putting like herbs and spices and marinations and like, just like cover everything in like everything.
Yeah.
And then when I went to Italy, I discovered that cooking isn't actually what you add to it; it's how you celebrate what you have. And I think
Oh,
that was the
wow.
biggest curve for me. And I think after that, I began to celebrate the tomato for what it is, and let's just
Okay.
complement it with a few things, with some
Hmm.
salt and some olive oil, and all the things I was using to complement these products became a kind of lifestyle in itself, and it kind of taught me, okay, you don't need to add all these things, and plus all these things are not healthy for you, and plus
Right.
if you keep it as natural as possible, it will do better for your body in terms of digestion. And so it became this whole, yeah, lifestyle, I would say,
Yeah.
that I lived, and then I also started to produce. But
Hmm.
I think I did do some fasting earlier in the year before I think I'd come back and I was doing some fasting. And as I came off the fast, I kind of felt like my body was telling me, so you don't have to go back straight away to dairy and to
Okay.
sugar, to gluten. And
Hmm.
I just was like, okay, well, I'm going to ride that. I'm going to see. And
Yeah.
it just kind of fell off it fell off for me. Like, how can I say, it fell off the kind of truck, like all the
Yeah.
dairy and I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to give this up. It just became part of lifestyle that I feel better
Okay.
for it. I get more done. I feel like my body is at its prime when I'm
Hmm.
digesting less, and digesting
Okay.
things easier.
So it's almost in a sense you're stripping things back to basics and really
Correct. Yeah.
concentrating on
Yeah.
the organicness of the ingredients.
That's right. Yeah.
So
100%.
for you yourself, obviously the health benefits were making you feel, I'm guessing that you had more energy, you were able to get out and do a lot more. Is
Mm.
that something that you help other people with? with the way that you cook your food and the way that you teach people.
Definitely. I mean, I'm not, so this is a disclaimer also. I'm not here preaching like veganism or, you have to give up your steak tomorrow. Like I'm not here to force people to do anything. I think it has to be a natural progression based on your agreement or alignment with your own self. Okay. That's a bit hippie and spiritual, but
no, but I know what you mean.
I'll make it make sense. I think my job ultimately is to expose what can be done with plants.
Yes.
And then to bring that into an easy, accessible way for the everyday, regular person, the busy mom, the workaholic, the I don't know how to cook anything student, to just make it accessible and rewarding, because food is a reward. I mean, a lot of people eat just to not be hungry, but a lot of people eat because they like the texture, the taste, the flavor. And I think that has to be maintained. Otherwise, we don't want it to become like I'm on a salad diet chore, because that's not going to be sustainable. So it's celebrating vegetables and plants and fruit, but also using we've been given the gift of creativity to be able to use that gift to produce other things which still taste amazing. But the underlying kind of help, I suppose, is to help people see that they can eat better through nature, essentially, if that was going to say anything. And also to maintain, as you mentioned before, health, aging process, just general energy, goals that you may have for your body, and also your mental health. I think all of those are greatly positively affected when we eat properly. And so sometimes we can be just like, oh, why am I still tired? Like I've had like 10 hours sleep, why am I getting this bag under my eye or this wrinkle here? Like a lot of it is food, diet, and obviously exercise related. It's not like you can buy all the creams. I'm sorry, like
you see, I never knew that. It's just like, if I'm tired, I'll go and grab an energy drink. But really, that's probably the opposite of what I should be doing. I should be looking at my diet and improving it in order to be getting the most from the food, from the fuel, essentially, that I'm putting in.
Yeah, 100%. It's preventative stuff. So if you're filling your body, with great stuff, then your body will do its job. It's actually trained to do that. It's trained to use what you give it to make something more from it, to I don't know, regenerate cells or cell growth or build muscle tissue, or to prevent fatigue. Like it's ready to do all that stuff. If we don't give it the tools to do it, it just won't do it, and it will kind of hang on to whatever you feed it. And I think by the time you get to the energy drink stage, it's probably too late, because your body's like, I don't know what you want me to do. Like,
there's no hope for me.
Well, there's always hope. There's always hope. But, it's kind of like you're kind of trying to deal with the situation, but the body, it can only go up with that sugar high, and it's going to come down again.
Exactly.
Caffeine high. And so it's not really a solution as such, but I would say in that scenario, some blueberries and turmeric would be my energy.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that.
Well, if you think about it, I suppose, Charlene, for like hundreds of thousands of years, people have lived essentially off the land, even back to like caveman times, haven't they? That's how they managed to survive, was through nature. So it's almost like, as the years have gone past, we've kind of just added all of these artificial things. And if we strip it back like you're doing, we're actually living, probably a better life, because we're only taking what we need in a way.
Correct. I think that was the biggest revelation from the fasting I did, is that we don't need all this stuff. Like we don't need, no offense to the brie lovers or whatever, but we don't need that every week. Sometimes, we don't need a brie and grape sandwich every week. Because the body just doesn't need that to make you feel better. It needs something else. Not to say you can't have all of those things, but I'm trying to not get preachy here, but I'm just saying, I'm just saying that we need to kind of just balance everything out a bit more.
Definitely. So do you think it was your unique approach at the time that enabled you to get on to like programs like Lorraine, and things like that? Is it because, do you think maybe around that time people were looking for something different? Because there seemed to be a peak in interest, didn't there, at the time when you went on the show, of people really, really wanting to make a difference to their own diets. No problem.
Yeah, so I think at the time of Lorraine, I had already done a little recipe for Jamie Oliver's food tube. And
as you do.
As you do. And actually I was out on my food truck at the time, and I was kind of making plant-based. I was mixing it up. I had some meat things, had some plant-based, and the producers happened to be grabbing lunch, and they loved it. They invited me to come and make a dish, and I think that dish probably was kind of like, let's say a kind of taster of who I was. And some producers at ITV Daytime got in touch and asked me. They didn't even, this is a little like thing, they didn't even screen test me. They just said, "You're doing this." Wow. You're doing it. I was like, okay, it's fine. But it wasn't live, it was VT, so it was okay.
I bet you were so nervous, weren't you? Or were you not?
Honest, well, at that time I was so busy with the shop that it was like, it's like having kids and working. You're just like, okay, fine, like whatever, dealing with it all. Like looking back, I maybe could have taken more time to enjoy it, but I was in work mode, like get these out, get the recipes out, but it was so fun. The crew and everyone are lovely at ITV. I love them so much, and it was a great time. And I think at that time what they were looking for was, it was just Christmas had just gone, and they were looking for something really fresh and green and just healthy, like almost like a detox for the year, to start the year. And I think that's where it kind of slotted in. I know it's also the January as well at that time, so it all was kind of like around that theme. But I think
totally the right place at the right time situation, wasn't it, for you?
Definitely. I think for them, they're aware of their audience are not necessarily vegans, so they didn't really want to be like hardcore vegan dishes. They kind of, we mixed it up. We had fish in there as well, but I think the idea of creating something from plants and then adding in what you want to add in, I think they like that kind of concept. So that's how that worked out.
I think you were also on John and Lisa's Kitchen as well, weren't you?
Yeah, it was great fun.
Was that off the back of the Lorraine appearance?
It was off the back of that. It was off the back of that, and it was great. I mean, as I say, I love working with ITV. They're great, and I'm happy because I feel like I'm actually helping, because it's not, you think, because there's so much like vegan, plant-based, you think that everybody knows what they're doing. But actually people don't, and I think it's nice to be able to share your skill and knowledge and just open up people's eyes to what can be done.
Definitely. And I think also, though, I think a lot of people, when they hear plant-based or vegan, they'll think, oh, it's ingredients that I just don't know what to do with. And it can be quite intimidating, really. So I think the way that you're portraying it and the way that you're educating people is really refreshing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a refreshment for me. I mean, I started off as a teacher.
Did you?
So I did. And so my kind of inherent skill is to educate. So I think that's kind of how it works for me, in that sense, that it's not just like, oh, here, I'm making a dish, like, do you like it? It's more like, I'm going to make sure you understand what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, so that you can go off and do it and feel good about it.
That totally comes across with your personality. I mean, I'm not surprised at all that you're a teacher, because you say it in a way to educate, if that makes sense, and you say it in a way that everybody will be able to, what's the word, relate to. Like even people like me that are really rubbish when it comes to food, like what you're saying makes
I can't. We'll find out.
But let's go back, Charlene, to your time in Italy. What was there any like light bulb moment in particular where you knew food, and plant-based food in particular, is the way that I want to go and I want to teach people?
Yeah. I think when I got to Italy, I started my journey in Bologna, which if you know
Okay.
Bologna, it's like food city. You got tagliatelle, the ragu, you've got lasagna, you've got all the like meaty, dairy, pasta-y,
Yeah.
carby things going on all at the same time every hour. Like, in Italy, it's like pasta every lunchtime, pasta, pasta, pasta.
Pasta o'clock.
Pasta, it's literally pasta o'clock, and that is no word of a lie.
Oh
I
my
mean, this is
gosh.
not like this is the truth. Like wherever you are at 12, you're getting pasta as even if you might get it as your first plate because they have like
Okay.
different plates, or you'll get it as you're just the only plate. But you're going to get
Oh
pasta at
my
some point
gosh.
during the day, and so I was never a massive fan of pasta because shout out to, no, it's not really a shout out, but the way my mom cooked it wasn't like too fun. It was a bit like soggy. And
Okay.
so I was like,
Sorry, mum.
sorry. And so I was introduced to the al dente, which is like the tiny bite that you get on the end of the pasta when you eat
Okay.
it. So it's not completely cooked. Al dente is like it means a little bit hard. So
Right.
like yeah, to the bite. That's the literal translation. So you
Okay.
can kind of bite it a little bit. And so I was like, okay, wow, pasta's great. And I would be joining in that whole pasta, 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 pizza, ice cream, you name it. Even meat, I was into that. I was having like ham and things like that. I was like things
Mhm.
I wouldn't even normally have because
Yeah.
it was just so tasty. And it came to this like moment. I was like, okay, I can't continue if I'm going to live here. Obviously, I started my living there. So if I'm going to live here, there's no way I can continue to live like this
Yeah.
because it's just not going to be healthy for me. And
Mhm.
that's no offense to, you know, the way that the Italians eat the Mediterranean diet is
Yeah.
very healthy.
Mhm.
But I just think for me and, what just, your own body, your
Yeah, and you know
digestion,
your own metabolism and stuff, don't you?
right, things which will make you put on weight, which things which will,
Mhm.
and so I was just like, well, I know I can't carry on like that. And so I started to find like alternatives. And I noticed oftentimes I would like be at people's houses and watch the older generation, what they would
Yeah.
cook, and they would do things which were so cool. Like they go in the like garden or whatever in the allotment, and they bring out like some gorgeous cima di ripa, like some just lovely greens, and then they just
Yeah.
stew it down and like
Oh.
turn it into something. I was like, wow, that is so wonderful. Like I wish
Mhm.
we could do that in the UK because we're so used to our ZZ, Pizza Express or
Yeah.
whatever, cafe, or what was it? I don't think it is. What is it
Rouge.
called?
Is
That's
it
it,
Rouge
Cafe
or
Rouge.
Nero?
There's Cafe
Mhm.
Rouge and there's another cafe, but that kind of chain of
Yeah.
just like
Mhm.
carby Italian, which is part of the diet, but it's not all of the diet. So I think my
Mhm.
inspiration came from what they were doing in the background, the things they were
Right.
growing and then turning into traditional dishes. I lived all over Italy, but in particular, I lived opposite Rome, and so it's very coastal, mountainous, and also
Yeah.
just lots of terrain everywhere. And
Mhm.
I was able to see how they used all of the materials they had to create
Oh,
these
wow.
slow cooked, just organic, oftentimes plant based because they like
Mhm.
their pulses. And I was so inspired by that I was like, gosh, it's not really about all your carbs.
Yeah,
And I don't have to
definitely.
I can have it sometimes, don't have to always go for that. There are options. And once I knew these options, then I became more inspired to cook them. And I
Oh.
was just in this environment where I was always learning and
Mhm.
cooking, and
Oh.
it just rubbed off on me. And so I then thought back to the UK and thought, okay, well, these guys are still on the whole pizza, pasta,
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the restaurant. There's another cafe something. I will come to me. But that kind of vibe, they're still
Yeah.
on that vibe. How about rather dispelling that myth and coming up with something which is still Italian, but just kind of
Healthier.
like, yeah, it gives a different take on the Mediterranean
Mhm.
diet through the Italian lens, let's say.
Yeah.
So it was an out there concept when I look back, but at that
Yeah.
time it was very I think it was very timely because things were just starting. People were just starting to get on that bandwagon. Like, okay, yeah, I want to
Yeah.
try plant based. I want to try vegan.
Mhm.
And then you're starting to see little products in the shops, and like in
Yeah.
Costa, you see like a random flapjack, and you'd be like, okay, like people are like getting into this thing. This is the
Yeah.
perfect time. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, without going further, I think that was my main inspiration and kind of, yeah, reason for bringing it back to the UK.
Wow. Was it more or less straight after you got back to the UK that you thought, right, okay, I'm going to bring it to as many people as I possibly can by
Yeah, I mean,
opening up myself?
yeah, I knew what I wanted to do. I also had a nice job. So
Okay.
I was like, hmm,
How
should I
can I
stay
do
or should I?
both?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was difficult, but I thought if this is what I want to do, I need to commit to it. So I went back. So it
Mhm.
was I went back intentionally to open up for
Wow.
Italy. Yeah.
And do you believe, like a lot of my listeners are women in business, do you
Mm.
believe that it's important to, if you know how passionate you are about something, is it important to kind of go with your gut and go and do it?
Yeah, I believe if you have something inside you that is saying this is it, I think I could do this,
Yeah.
or I think this could work, or this is who I am and I want to, share that with the world. I
Hmm.
don't believe that's by chance. I believe that's been put inside you for a
Yeah.
reason, to be birthed. And so if
Hmm.
you're carrying that and you feel that I'm just carrying this idea around, I would advise you to birth it. But birthing
I love
doesn't
that.
mean, oh, go and open a big shop.
Yeah.
Birthing can be, right, I'm going to go to the library, I'm going to plan this out, I'm going to speak
Yeah.
to an entrepreneur, a woman entrepreneur in business, I'm going to get some advice, I'm going to call this person I know, I'm going to make a start. And you
Yeah.
can call those the contractions if you like. I'm going to make a
Oh my
start,
God, I love
you
that.
know, and then eventually time will come. Now that might not be tomorrow. It might be like
Hmm.
you've got to finish your contract at work, you've got another 2 years,
Yeah.
that's fine. But you've still got this trajectory where you're like, I'm making this happen, I'm gonna birth
Hmm.
this thing. So I guess my advice would be like, do not ignore that feeling or that kind of that knowing,
Yeah.
because that's a purpose right there that you're kind of you owe it to yourself to
To
do.
fulfill.
Yeah,
Hmm.
because if you don't, I think somebody out there needs what you have
Yeah.
got in your head, whatever it is.
Hmm.
And that's why it's there. And I just think if you don't do it or you make excuses, and I'm not saying in a bad way, but you might say,
Yeah.
I just don't have the time, I don't have the money,
Hmm.
I don't have the knowledge, I don't have
Yeah.
all those things you can get if you
Yeah.
want it. And I guess it boils down to how much do you want to birth it. If you really want to birth it, you'll find a way. If you don't, I think it becomes a shame in the end, because you're going to look back
Yeah.
and think, oh, I could have
Definitely.
done that, and then
Oh, I absolutely love that. That's amazing advice. Thank
yeah.
you for that.
No, not at all, not at all. I
So
think this, yeah,
I was going to say, Charlie, not only do you help other people with your work surrounding food, you also help other people when it comes to your passion for music as well, don't you?
yeah,
Can you tell me a bit more about that?
yeah. It's a work in progress. I love music. I used to play lots of instruments. I
Did
gave them
you?
up. Yeah, I played the piano and the saxophone
Hmm.
and a bit of violin, and it was a young person thing. I was just like loving it, and then I kind of came away from that, and then I started to see other people around me, young people who had this great passion and wanting to break into the industry and
Yeah.
having goals and having just inspiration to do it, and I mean, when you mentor people, it's not necessarily that you're giving them. I'm not giving anyone a recording deal or anything like that. I'm not the chair of Universal, but I can give you the inspiration to say, don't give up, and
Hmm.
let's do this. Let's have you tried that. What? How can you refine your skill? And I think those nuggets are so key for young people, because I think
Definitely.
the social media world that we're in now is saturated with I've already made it, I'm amazing,
Exactly.
I'm just the biggest thing since. And I think that is really harmful. I think
Yeah.
it's a delusion, because
Hmm.
it takes everybody you see who's successful, like you will know this as well, they do not see the amount of grit and
Oh
sacrifice
no.
behind
Hmm.
it. So in every blessing like that, there's a whole host of like hard grit that someone's had to go
Yeah.
through, which is
And
not never
but I
explained.
think a lot of the time though, people project this image of success that isn't based on any kind of truth, which is harmful as well to younger people, because when they see themselves not being where they would ideally like to be, it can really, really destroy their confidence, really, can't it? But a lot of what we see on social media isn't real life anyway.
No, it's the tip of oh, I've made it. You see the little like tip on the top of the mountain, like the little bit of snow. That's what you're seeing. You're not seeing the whole breadth of everything they've had to do to get there. And that is harmful, because if we saw more of that, you know, the process, I think
the honest journey.
Yeah, I mean, you do see some people exposing that, but the kind of the clickbait for Instagram is like, I've made it, like I'm doing this amazing thing, like look at me with these celebs, and or whatever it is. And I think, you know, nobody gets there like that. And the generation that we're in, they're so fast paced that they believe that it only takes 5 minutes. You know, I just need to. A lot of the people that I kind of was speaking to were like, oh, I just need that hit song, you know, I just need to go viral. As soon as I go viral, that's going to be it. And it's like, there's nobody I know. The viral has come after, you know, a lot of just graft. A lot. And I think I was watching one time, I don't know if you've watched the Kanye West documentary.
No, I haven't.
Which is so interesting because it exposes his, you know, his whole life, you know, his life as a musician before he becomes famous. And the amount of challenge, you know, the amount of just like sheer, like he would walk into recording companies and just hand out his tape. There was tapes back then. Yeah, hand out tapes. You know, just I would advise you to watch it. Just I know like he's controversial, but just to see the process, or for a young person to see the process of making it, that no one is handed it. Nobody is handed it. I mean, there's a clip where he's trying to, I think he loses his recording contract and then has a car accident, so he can't, and his mouth is wired shut because he's broken his jaw. And this guy starts to write and wrap his album with his with all this, like with his mouth wired closed. And you're just like, you can't even open your mouth, how are you going to rap? But he does it. And it's just like the sheer, like you have to really, really, truly want something, as I was saying before, to birth it. And I think so. That's my
resilience, isn't it?
The resilience, yeah. That's my biggest kind of gift I could give in terms of, you know, just mentoring those people, because, you know, I don't believe even with success you can maintain it if you don't have that behind you, because
definitely. So I'm guessing that you're helping young people working on their inner strength in order to, if they do make it or if they don't make it, to keep being strong no matter which way.
And to also find one's identity. I think as well, the industry is full of just like generic identities, like
cut and paste kind of thing, copy and paste things.
Exactly. And so that isn't real either. You know, you don't have to sound like someone to be famous or to be successful. You just have to be yourself. And I think there's so much room for that. The generation we're in, or the time that we're in now, there's so much room for that. So just finding
it's like you were saying though about when it comes to business, it can apply the same. You said there is someone out there that needs to hear what you've got to say, so you could apply 100%. That to the young people too.
100%. I truly believe it.
You're an inspiration.
Oh, thanks. I don't feel like that. I'll take it. Thank you. But yeah, I mean, it's life experience, isn't it? I mean, it's what you go through and what notes you take along the way.
Definitely. And I think that's why you want to help other people, having had experiences yourself, and you can pass that knowledge on, and know that you're making a difference to someone else's life. I think that's the biggest reward.
Definitely. And I'm slightly delusional. Yes. Yeah, I was just going to say I'm slightly delusional, so I believe that anything's possible at any time. You know, I'm one of those like.
Oh, I love that.
You don't know, like, you know, things can happen at any given time. Your life can change at any given time. So I like to, you know, imprint that on people. Like, don't think just because you're in an office and, you know, you're just picking up the phone and like, you know, talking to office people, that your life can't change. It really can. Anything can happen at any time, but you have to be prepared to birth it.
Yes. Get them contractions underway, people.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So, Charlene, what's the goal for you? What do
Mm.
you want to do in the future?
Yeah, so my brand is always evolving. I think Italy was a great time in my life. I was
Mhm.
working with Italian food, with lots of Italian chefs. I think now for me, the focus is bringing all of that together. The whole
Okay.
Mediterranean concept is so strong and important for me. Looking at how people ate ancient times, ancient Mediterranean as well as current Mediterranean, and
Oh,
fusing
wow.
that with who I am as well. I think that the foods I like and the flavors that I kind of grew up with and things like that
Mhm.
is now the kind of sphere that I'm evolving into, and it's really exciting to be able to work with dishes and ingredients which I guess are more me, because at the end of the day I'm not Italian, although I
Mhm.
lived there for 10 years, and I think that was a season of my life that was amazing. And I
Yeah.
think any business person will know you have to evolve, you have to
Yeah.
see what's next. And I think that's the direction I'm going in. Still plant-based, still
Mhm.
healthy. My
What
goal
about a
is
book? I think that would
I'd
be
love to do a
amazing.
book. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd love to do a book. I think recipes, of course, are amazing, but also little snippets of wisdom within those
Yeah.
recipes I'd love to give as well. I think
I can
that's
see it, like you
you.
can have the background as if, yeah, I think your book's
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Speak that over me. I'll speak over myself. Yeah, book. And I think, yeah, for me, definitely look out for a new blog, hopefully some more TV,
Yeah.
and then eventually I'll be opening up Watch This Space.
Oh,
I can't say
loving
too
that.
much.
That's really exciting. In fact, I'll tell you after. I've got a contact that I can put you into contact with for yeah, anyway, sorry.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Back to the podcast. So
Yes.
where can people find out more about you?
So as I said, I do have a blog coming out
Mhm.
probably in the summer. But as for now, I'm on Instagram, Charlene
Okay.
Ashong. You can check out some of my cooking videos
Mhm.
online, YouTube, go onto ITV playback. Yeah, you can feel free to
I
get in
can
touch.
put, yeah, I'll
Yeah,
put the links in the bio, and if anybody
amazing.
wants to learn some more
Yeah,
about
I'm here
plant-based
for you.
diets and the
I'm here for you.
benefits, then they
Yeah,
can contact you, can't they?
I'm here, guys. Whatever you need.
Well, it's been amazing to have you on, Charlene. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming to talk to me
you.
today,
Well,
all
thank
the
you for
way from
having
the
me.
States.
I know it's 7:30 here, but it's all
Is
good.
it?
I mean, yeah,
Oh yeah,
no, that's
yeah, it's
your
20
time.
past
That's
7.
your time. Sorry. No, it's 11:30. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's all good. It's a lovely Saturday morning, and yeah, thank you for having me. I'm
Oh,
very,
thank
very
you for
grateful
coming
for that.
on.
Yeah, very grateful, and yeah, happy to share the plant-based vibes as always.
Definitely.